And we're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call, the alcohol only on the Last Call podcast.com. And once again, joining me here on location. Well, he was in his luxury suite watching the fights. I'm not talking the boxing, I'm talking UFC Noche. Well, even though he was at Vegas, and there may have been, dare I say, some party between him, some Instagram models, and maybe a bag of pink candy, we'll call it. He was on point. I give you once again MMA host and podcaster of the MMA Odds Breaker, Eurosport DL. I give you it's Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, once again, first, were you at? How was the party in Vegas? Who were the Instagram models? And second, was it a bag of candy or something else?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. No, man. Just from home, dude. Just from home. Uh, with a good beverage, watching the fights. Working at the same time. But yeah, I enjoyed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
code for like you can't talk about the parties because you're never gonna invite me. So you went to these wild parties. There's probably some swinging going on, some pink candy, some liquid refreshments, and you're not inviting me, I guess. So let's just jump into the fights. You called it. Diego Lopez versus Jean Silva was action packed. Diego Lopez won. So yeah, I don't think the UFC wanted this result. So what's Plan B, and where does Diego Lopez go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance by Diego, I think, definitely the first round. He pretty much dominated him. Gotta say, Silva kind of came back in the last 30 seconds of that round. Second round, I thought Silva did very well, but he's very wild, and Diego just did pretty well with that spinning back elbow. He grazed his head, went down, and he finished him. Yeah, I mean, you can go so many ways still. I think the UFC, obviously, what I said last week, wanted John Silva to win to have a new contender. Now you got Diego. I don't think Diego gets a title shot next. I think he needs probably one more. So yeah, that you have options with Lerone Murphy, Diego Lopez, Movsar Evloev. I think the UFC will probably go with Volkanovski fighting Lerone Murphy, and maybe they match up Evloev with either Yair or with Diego. All they do Diego Yair, although I don't think Yair deserves it, but yeah, they maybe do Diego Evloev too. I see them doing that. Yeah, it's interesting. It was a fun matchup. I really enjoyed it. Was the best fight of the card, in my opinion, as well. So rightfully fight of the night. There were two or three other good fights that were in the running, I think, but this one was better. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, man. I think most people I mean, if you're like a neutral watcher and if you're a Diego Lopez fan, you enjoy the fight. Sean Silva fans probably didn't enjoy the fight. I think the outcome, but it was a really fun fight, and yeah, great main event.
If you're Jean Silva, what do you do going forward? Because as you said, that I know when we talked off there, you were worried that he's too wild sometimes. He gets over aggressive. If you can weather a storm, you can catch him. How do you fix that? Is that something that he can do, or is that something that it's just going to be like Donald Cerrone, his calling card?
No, I think Jean Silva he's still young, he can still grow. And the thing is, like, Jean Silva fights with a lot of emotions. And the thing is, Diego tries not to. He tries to keep focus and do the important things. Jean Silva really lost that emotional roller coaster he always fights in. And with less opponents, that's probably better to handle. And I don't want to say his opponents, he fought before are bad, because the Bryce Mitchell win was great. The Melsick win was great. But Lopez showed high level, in my opinion, last night. He showed why he's top three in the UFC. And he did very well. This was a step up too much for Silva right now. Do they fight in 2 or 3 years again? Maybe Silva's getting better. We never know. But right now, Lopez won. And I think he did pretty dominant fashion. Although Silva, like I said, was coming back in that second round. But overall, it was a pretty dominant performance. So yeah, my hats off to Diego Lopez, man.
Meanwhile, you said Diego Lopez is one more fight away from getting a title shot. Let me throw those
Yeah.
out there. Why is that? Why not just run it back? Lopez versus Volkanovski. The first fight was very competitive. Usually, people would like to see that. I'm a Lerone Murphy. You can argue sometimes it's boring. Why not reward a guy who, basically upset the apple cart? I mean, sometimes rematches are a good thing. I'm just throwing it out there. Rematches are a good thing.
I don't mind if they give him a next time. I just don't think the UFC will go that way, because they have other options for fresh matchups, and the UFC prefers fresh matchups over rematches, unless they're really getting a stiffy of a certain fighter. But I mean, overall, they go with the fresher matchup, so that's why I think Diego probably needs one more. Listen, if they make the rematch with Volkanovski, you won't hear me complain. I think that was a pretty competitive fight the last time, and yeah, I wouldn't mind if they do the rematch, but I just don't see them doing that. I think Diego needs one more. That in the UFC's eyes, I would say.
Well, co-main event.
Yeah.
David Martinez. You were high on him, before the fight. Like, hey, don't worry, don't sleep on this kid. He's going to beat Rob Font. Hey, don't sleep on this kid. He for this fight will be in good hands. Unanimous decision victory. Where do you put him next with? And does this say more about him or more about Rob Font?
Both, to be honest. The thing is, I think David Martinez is a big talent. I wasn't really impressed by his Contender Series fight. I got to be honest with you. He got signed of that. It was a good win, but I wasn't impressed. Then last time he beat Conor Matthews by stoppage. That was a good win. In his debut. And this was a massive step up. Actually, the guy in the top 10. I think Rob was 9. Not sure. I think he was 9. Yeah, it was a big step up, on short notice. He was supposed to fight someone else on this card. First, he was supposed to fight Carlos Vera, then it was Kang Lee, and now it was Rob Font. So, yeah, I was like, listen, the thing is, like, he probably also catches Rob Font at the right time. I think Rob Font, like I said, I think I said this last week as well, like, I don't see him making any improvements anymore, but he's still super tough and he's really legit. So for me, Rob Font is a little bit the guy who is in the bantamweight and made sure that the guys who shouldn't be ranked in the bantamweight don't come into the bantamweight. So almost of a gatekeeper. But I feel like it's kind of still disrespectful to Font to call him a gatekeeper, but I don't mean it in a bad way. So with Martinez, you saw in the first round, he looked pretty good, I think. And I thought Rob Font did very well in the second round. He came back. I had it 19-19 going into the third round, and I felt like Rob Font, the momentum was on his side, But man, he got a second win, Martinez, So did very well. Almost finished Font at the end. Nobody heard the buzzer at the end, so that fight went 5 seconds too long. But yeah, good win, man. The thing is only like, if they rank him now in the top 10, he has to fight guys in the top 10 in the bantamweight division, and that might be a little bit too early. I don't know, because I just think this is a good win, but there are many guys in the bantamweight division I don't want to see Martinez against yet. So guy is young. He's also a doctor, I think, so a smart kid. Yeah, let's see what he does next. But this is a good win, man. I mean, Rob Font is not an easy guy to beat. We saw the last 2 guys who fought him, like Kyler Phillips couldn't beat him. I thought the Jean Matsumoto fight was close. I could have gone to Jean, but it went to Font. But yeah, that's a good win for Martinez, and let's see where it goes from here, man. Lots of opportunities, but man, I'm hoping that he can keep improving, because if they give him somebody even higher than Rob Font, it can be very difficult. But then at the same time, he's still young. But yeah, I love to see his rise in the division.
Where does Rob Font go from here? Because this is a guy at one point who was challenging for a title. He was one of the faces at bantamweight, and as you said, he's now a gatekeeper for top 10 guys. Do you see him going forward more? Or could this be like the last hurrah where he goes, I don't want to be that guy, the guy who hangs around too long, just fights for basically just relevance and takes too much damage. I mean, especially for a guy who he's had a long career. He's had over 25, fights. After a while, this takes a toll on you.
Yeah, Rob doesn't strike me as the guy who says, I want to stop now. So I think he will keep on. But yeah, I don't see him going anywhere up anymore at bantamweight. I think he is where he is. I would rank him between 10 and 20 somewhere, but high. So around spot 10, 11, 12, 13, around there, right now. But the thing is, like, I don't think he will improve anymore. I think he's really, really solid. He's always been a really solid guy in the bantamweight division. But I think they're going to use him more for up and coming talent to see if these guys are good enough to get ranked, or that Rob still is solid enough to keep in the top 15. I think I mean, if he wins two more fights next time, they probably give him somebody above him again, and this is like a circle that goes on. It's a little bit the same with Dan Ige, I love Dan Ige. He's a great guy, very friendly guy as well, but he's winning two fights against guys who are under him, and then they give him a guy above him, and then he's losing. So then he has to fight prospects again. Sometimes and last time he lost, but most of the times he wins against these prospects, and then he gets a new fight above him, So it's like that circle that keeps on going. I feel the same way with Font, but we'll see, man. I don't know. I don't know what Font wants or what he's gonna do. But as long as he's competitive, and this fight was competitive, as long as he's competitive, the UFC will keep him around, and he will probably keep fighting. So yeah.
Rafa Garcia. You want to talk about a guy making a statement? This guy made a statement, knocking out Gordon in the second round. I did not see this coming. I did not see Garcia taking on a guy who went rounds with Paddy Pimblett and just destroying him. What happened here? And should
Uh,
we all of a sudden put some more respect on Rafa Garcia's name?
So yeah, also Jared Gordon didn't see that one coming. Me neither. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I think the judges had a 2-0 going into the third round. I had it 1-1, but I mean, they had a 2-0. The thing is with and I don't want to take anything away from Garcia, but I don't know if you saw the tweet from Bilal Muhammad after the fight, and he was like, Jarrett was in an accident earlier this week in San Antonio. He almost pulled out of the fight, but he wanted to pull through. And you also saw that bandage around his knee. So I will get the tweet of Bilal and I will read it here, so you know what I'm here.
No, I get that, and look, I give Jared Gordon credit. He's never turned down a fight or
Yeah,
pulled
yeah.
out if he can't. If he, unless it's, you know, there's no way he can compete, and he found a way to compete.
I mean, listen, he got hit by a car and he popped his knee, so that's why he fought with a bandage. So listen, I don't want to take anything away from Garcia because he fought really well. I think this is the best win of his career. That's a big win. Jared Gordon is not a small name in my opinion. He might not be ranked, but he's one of the better guys at 155 who aren't ranked. Plus he arguably won a lot of his split decision losses in the UFC, like the Paddy Pimblett one, the Nasrat one. They could have gone his way as well. So um, yeah, it's a good win for Garcia. But I have to listen. I have to look at that story with the knee. Did it compromise him? I have no idea. We'll see when Garcia gets another. How do you say that? A bigger opponent even next time. How he does. Like I said, don't want to take anything away from him, but I take it into consideration.
So for Rafa Garcia, if you're the UFC, and let's say all this is true, but he basically fought a one-legged man,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do next? I mean, because as you said, if the conventional theory is okay, he beat Jared Gordon, deserves somebody higher up. But if this is something where he took on a guy who was sort of maimed, do you just give him somebody, around his level, maybe that top 30, top 25 guy instead of somebody top 15?
Yeah, like I said, man, you can. I take it into consideration, but you cannot really blame Rafa for it. He won the fight, and he finished Gordon. So you got to give him a step up in competition again next. And let's see how he does. Maybe even listen, we will never know, but maybe even without that knee popping out a couple of days earlier, maybe Garcia would have won as well. We don't know. So. Yeah, I want to give him full credit, Garcia. I think he looked good. He looked very solid against a guy who I thought was better everywhere than he was. So I have to give him credit, man. Good win for Garcia, and yeah, let's see where he goes from here. I think there are a lot of options. Guy is not ranked. There are a lot of options at 155. Let's see what he does in his next fight, man.
Meanwhile, Jared Gordon, your heart guy has to break from because this is a guy who has talked openly about battling his demons, battling addiction, becoming sober, getting married. He's had heartbreaking losses. He's had judges screw him.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the most unlucky fighter that we've come across in the UFC where every time it just seems like he's getting momentum, just stuff that's out of his control, either bad judging, injuries, or as you said, getting hit by a car. It's just like, God, the goddamn it, this guy can't catch a break.
Most unlucky, I don't know, but he's definitely being very unlucky in a lot of situations in the UFC, So, yeah, I hope things will go better for him. I feel like he got robbed in some of his fights, and that would have bring him somewhere like way closer to the top 15 than where he is now. And yeah, that's why I say, man, with that car accident, you don't know what really happened there, So, but yeah, it sucks, because I think Jared is a good dude, and I want to see him do well, but we'll see, man. Let's hope he recovers and he comes back.
Well, speaking of recovering, speaking of coming back, let's talk about Kevin Gastelum. He came back big time in his fight. First, he didn't make weight, so that doesn't help. Then, as we saw, he has an excellent win against Dustin Stolfus. What do we make of that? Because on one hand, it's great that he won. On the other hand, hey, he didn't make weight, which is always just a bit of a pain in the ass. So
Yeah, it's also not just making weight. He was 5 pounds over.
you
Listen,
said it, I did. I'm trying to be polite here. I'm trying to be the bigger man and not go. Yeah, he's kind of a chub.
I mean, Gaslam is a nice dude. I wouldn't say anything bad about him, but the facts are the facts. So, the thing is, like, I think to be really honest, Stoltz was pretty happy he missed weight because he got 35%. And I think Calvin's last fight, he got paid like $420,000 flat. So take 35% off that. I mean, you have a good payday. I think Stoltz was earned more from that fine than he did in his last 3 fights, probably. So, yeah, the thing was like I felt like Gastelum was on the gas like pretty much the whole fight. He fought forward. Stoltzfus looked good in the first round, in my opinion. After that, I felt like Gastelum was taking over. And then you can think about it. Does it have to do with not cutting those last 5 pounds? It's possible. At the same time, it's a good win for him. He's back in the win column. The thing is, like, if he wants to make, he always says, "I want to make one more run for the title." If he wants to make one more run for the title, he really has to make weight. It's important. Otherwise, the UFC is not going to give you any opportunity against a top 15 guy. I think. Yeah, it was a win. Don't think it was spectacular or anything. It was a good fight, a good win for Kelvin. Yeah, we'll see what's next for him, man.
Should this have been just a forfeit? I mean, I get it. If UFC goes, oh well, we docked them 30% of their pay, blah blah blah. It's you got to win, and Dustin Stolfus lost, which doesn't help down the road because people are going to go, well, he lost to Castellum, he can't be this. I mean, if this is the Olympics, if this is the World Championships, you don't make weight, you forfeit. That's how it is. I get this is the business, but at what point should the UFC just go, all right, look, you didn't make weight, you forfeit, you've lost a fight, we're paying this guy, you don't get paid, screw this, and we're moving forward.
I mean, I can see that what you're saying. At the same time, I think, and what I heard is that Stoltz was absolutely wanted to have this fight. And I understand, a win over Gaslam would have been the biggest win for Stoltz in his career, in my opinion, And also at the same time, 35% of Calvin Gaslam's paycheck. Dude, that is a lot. Calvin is not on the 10% contract, So I understand where Stoltzfus come from. He's like, fuck it. Please let us fight. Fuck those 5 pounds. I'm getting paid tonight, even if I lose. So yeah, I understand. But if you look from a commission side, yeah, I was afraid they would have gonna pull this fight, because 5 pounds is a lot in MMA terms. So I wouldn't have been surprised if they pulled it, but yeah, they didn't. So yeah, I mean, happy for Stoltzfus, he got some extra money.
Because that's the issue, though. I mean, because if this was, they're not getting paid that much. Some of these fighters, like
Mhm.
Stolfus is not getting, 100 grand to fight. A lot of these guys we've heard, like, hey, by the way, I have 25 bucks in my bank account, fight night week because I don't have the money. I mean, for a $1 billion company,
Mhm.
at what point does there have to be something where it's like, okay, look, we got to do something. This is getting ridiculous. This looks just like pittance pay, where we're forcing fighters to fight guys who are 5 pounds over, 6 pounds over. Hey, maybe if it's 10 pounds over, we throw enough cash, they'll take it. Like, it just is an eyesore. It makes the company look bad. It makes the sport look bad.
So yes, I agree with you that fighters should get paid more. But with some guys, I feel like you're how do you say that? The way you save your money and that kind of stuff and spend it, that maybe doesn't fit your lifestyle. Sometimes I'm thinking that, with some guys, but hey, I'm not in. I don't know their finances exactly, so I cannot say that actually. But I feel it's like 50-50. On the other side, I feel like some guys have probably like not a really good way to handle their money, and the money goes out fast. At the same time, yes, I agree. The UFC should pay more, should pay better, and the UFC will always use the excuse like we are still the MMA organization who pays the best. Yeah, I understand, but still not enough in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
but it's like saying you're the toughest monster in Sesame Street. That's not saying much there, buddy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. That's what I say as well. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about an undercard fight that definitely deserves some praise. Tatiana Suarez, big bounce back win over Amanda Lemos. So, should she get next shot? I know that Mackenzie Dern is fighting for the strawweight championship. Does Tatiana Suarez deserve next, now that Wang Zili has moved up and she's arguably going to say one of either the best or number two best fighter in that division?
So I'm going to be dead honest with you. I didn't think it was a great fight. She won. You know, used a lot of grappling. Was at much difficulties with Lemos, anyways. To get her to the ground. But it was a really like lay and pray-ish kind of fight, in my opinion. Not good at all. Um, she is probably next. The thing is, like, does Zhang come back after that fight she has with Shevchenko? That's the thing. If Zhang comes back, she gets immediate title shot against the winner against Dern against Lemos. So what I think she probably comes back. And I think Jandiroba and Dern, the winner of that fight Zhang probably next year. And I think the loser of that fight should fight Tatiana Suarez or Yan Shonan, one of the two, and the winner of that fight can fight for the title then. I don't think Tatiana got so dominated besides the first round against Zhang Weili. I don't think this fight, she won 29-28. I wasn't really blown away, to be honest. She got the win. She did what she had to do. I expected her to win as well, but it wasn't spectacular at all. So I don't think this win grants a title shot, in my opinion. I think she needs one more, but if not, it's no problem. I think she's definitely one of the top girls in the division.
So, when you say that she didn't do better, she didn't do that well, but she's it was basically lay and pray. How should she get better? Like, if you were in her camp, you're going, okay, well, look, we got to change some things up so we can either beat Mackenzie Dern or beat Wang Zili if she comes back, and you have a lay and pray ain't gonna work. Like, what did you notice that she didn't do that she usually does?
I think normally she's way more active to search for submissions, and this time it was more comfortable being in the guard a little bit, and playing around there. I was just not impressed, and it doesn't. Listen, she doesn't have to impress me as long as she presses the UFC. It's good. But it was a good win. But there was listen. If you want to have something, you should do a little bit. There should be a little bit more than just holding on and trying to gather down and trying to get the to win the round. And that's basically what she was doing. And I understand that she comes from a pretty bad loss. I know it was against the champ, but it was such a one-sided loss that she really felt like I have to clearly win here. And she clearly won. She won 2 of the 3 rounds, but it was just not entertaining at all. And for me, this doesn't show like her growth in the striking. And what she has to do, I don't know, man. She has to check with her coaches, and she has to probably to work harder on her striking. And I cannot even say that because I don't know how hard she works on her striking. But I mean, her ground game is solid. We know that, but her striking is like, it's not amazing, you know. And she will need to have great striking as well to become a champion because, like I said, the sucky thing for her is that she fought Zhang last time, and that Zhang after that went to the other division. Because I think, for example, if she fights Dern or if she fights Jandiroba, she has a big chance to get the title here in the division, you know. But what I said, I think Zhang comes back. If Zhang doesn't come back, she has a big chance to become a champion, I think.
Where does Amanda Lemos go? Because she was also one of those fighters you look and go, hey, you know, she might be a win or two away from, you know, a title, and now is sort of all right. Well, does she beat anybody like in this division? And for top women, for you know, Mackenzie Dern's, the the Jarobas, the
I
Tatiana
mean,
Suarez, is she good enough to beat them, or is she lacking in that wrestling?
Lemos beat Dern, you know, so I mean, it's not too long ago. So, yeah, listen, I don't mind that Dern gets a title shot, but if it's deserved, that's a second That's a second question. Lemos can beat Dern. I think Lemos can beat Yan Jonan. I think she can beat Godinez. She beat Lucindo. I think she can beat Ricci, you know, but there are certain girls like a Tatiana Suarez, a Verna Jandiroba. Those are difficult for her. So I still think she's in the top of the division, you know, but there are some stylistically really difficult matchups for her. But I think she beats a lot of girls, man, still, you know. She's pretty good, you know. But the heavy grappling of Tatiana is just very difficult to fight for a lot of girls. And you saw only Zhang Weili was able to solve the puzzle yet, you know.
All right. Well, what's better than not winning? Anthony Hernandez not just winning, but calling his shot, saying that he wants Michael Chandler. I love this here. You know, we always say we need to make fun fights. Anthony Hernandez versus Michael Chandler is a fun friggin' fight. Does it happen? Do we get this? Talk to me, Marcel. Sell to me on the stake that is Hernandez possibly versus Chandler.
I think it's a very smart call out, man. I mean, Chandler is a guy you can beat in the top 15 in the lightweight division. So I think it's a really smart call out. Plus, he got four wins in a row. You know, has looked better in each of their fight. Knocked out Hooper last time. Now knocked out Ferreira. It's been pretty much getting into a second run in the UFC to the top. I feel like, you know. So the Chandler call is really smart, in my opinion. The thing is, everybody wants to fight Chandler right now because he's pretty much the weakest link in the division, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a good matchup. Why not? Two American guys can fight each other. Put it on a pay-per-view in the US. Put it on the pay-per-view in December. You know, the 320 UFC 323 in Vegas. Put it on that card. I don't mind it. I think he deserves it based on what he has shown in his last four fights. And Chandler is pretty much hasn't shown a lot in his last couple of fights. So yeah, let's roll it. I'm with you here, Chris. Yeah, good fight.
Were you surprised that Hernandez did so well against Diego Ferreira? I mean, we knew that it was going to be
Uh,
a good
yeah,
fight. We thought, though, like this is just a one sided, almost just ass whooping.
it's like I was 50-50 on the fight, man. You know, I talked to Adam about it, obviously, on our podcast. Adam picked Hernandez, I picked Ferreira. Well, it was really 50-50 to me. You know, the thing is, like, I really like Diego Ferreira. I like how he fights. He has knockout power. I think he's pretty solid on the ground as well. With Hernandez has been hit or miss for me, you know, all the time. You know, I know he won his last four fights, but before I picked him many times before, and then he didn't show up, you know. And I hope for the guy that he now finally has put a streak together and that he can go far, you know. So for me, it was kind of like a toss up when I saw the fight. I know a lot of people were on Hernandez. I was a little bit hesitant. I went with Ferreira. But hey, man, I've been wrong so many times, so I don't mind. And yeah, good win for Ferreira. All the credits to him, man. You know.
All right, so Give me some of the fighters on this card, which actually was a fun card. It delivered. There was lots of action, lots of submissions, knockouts. Give me some guys that stood out in this card that we haven't mentioned that you need to that you look and go, okay, they deserve some love. We need to give them love. Give them their flowers. God damn it!
Okay, let's go. Let's just talk about the fight. Santiago Luna against Kang Lee. Kang Lee tagged him actually with the first punch he landed, and Luna took over and then finished Kang Lee. A great debut on short notice for Luna. Mexican guy, looked good, solid, great win for him. Then we had Medina against Todorovic. Todorovic, mini Stefan Struve, looked good in the fight. Finished Medina like he should. Medina shouldn't have been in the UFC. I don't hate the guy or anything, but guy lost on Contender Series. Got a contract from Dana because he was impressed by his story. Then goes 0-3 in the UFC with all finishes. Puella Silva, not a great fight in my opinion. Silva won. I don't mind. Aguilar Gurule. Got to give some credit to Jesus Aguilar, man. I also picked Gurule. Adam picked Jesus Aguilar. He's like, this guy's always the underdog, but he always fights for your money. And he did again. He really looked good in that fight. So I feel like this guy is really underrated. I think he only lost to Estevan Montaira in the division. He's a guy to keep your eyes on. Jesus Aguilar, He's somebody who almost never gets mentioned, but he should get mentioned because he's pretty good. Zacharias against Dumas. Yeah, that was after 51 seconds, the nut shot, right? And people saying Dumas is acting. I was like, come on, guys, you can hate Cedricus Dumas, okay, but there was a clear nut shot. Even I felt it here in the Netherlands. That's how hard that was, and dude couldn't move. And then the doctor, I think he told the doctor that he had surgery on his balls already, and then the doctor said, "Oh, that's another ball game." So like, what the fuck? But yeah, not a good ending. Then we had Alessandro Costa against Alden Correa. That Correa dude looked fucking good, man. I think he's from the same team as Joshua Van and Michael Aswell. That dude looked fucking good, because Costa is not an easy fighter to fight against. His teammate of Diego Lopes as well. Correa looked like a future top 15, top 10 guy in the UFC, maybe even further. So I'm really looking forward to what he has to deliver in the upcoming years. Monster Randon against Alice Pereira, horrible fight. Randon won. I had Randon 2-1 in this fight, so I agree with the decision. And the thing was, like, Pereira, listen, she's still 19 years old, but if you look at opposition she fought, I didn't understand why the UFC signed her, man. Listen, I'm happy for her. She's in the UFC, but she pretty much got already in Monster Rendon, a girl who is like at the bottom of the bantamweight division, and she loses
I
against.
want to jump in here. If you
Oh,
really
okay.
don't know why the UFC didn't sign her, I question. There's two reasons why. One, 19 years old, prodigy.
Yeah,
Two,
I know.
look at her. She's hot. Hey, we can never have enough hot women in the UFC. I know it's politically incorrect. God damn it, I'll get sued, but
I
probably.
don't mind.
But you want to admit, like, hey,
I
we can
I
sell
know,
this. We can market this. It's
brother. Brother, that is what they tried against Randon, and she still lost. And Randon, listen, I have nothing against Monster Randon, but she's probably like the bottom of the bantamweight division. And they tried to give her a layup in her debut, and she failed. You know what they're gonna do next? They're gonna re-sign Sarah Farron, who was 0-3 in the UFC, to get her a win. That's what I mean, man. The thing is, like, there would have been much better if they gave her a developmental contract, and let her keep fighting in Brazil, or bring her into LFA, fight like not that good people over there, and try to build her up. This is just way too quick, and now they have to find a fight for her that she can win. Which she's going to fight at 135, I don't know.
They'll find somebody. If they have to sign some
Of
regional
course.
fighters, sign some regional fighters.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't get the quality of the company up, in my opinion. It's just quantity,
Marcel,
Yeah.
I just remember this is what, as Dana once said, screw quality. This is a business. This is the fight business.
Yeah, but
We're
I don't
gonna
give a
sell
shit.
stuff.
I don't give a shit what Dana says. I have my own opinions, So let's get to the opener of the card. Cezinando against Donchenko. That was action-packed, man. That Donchenko guy is crazy with his elbows, man. Sliced him open. And Cezinando, yeah, he was really bloodied up, and then he finished him, man. It was a beautiful finish, I think. Donchenko did great win for him. Didn't ask for his money, asked for his teammate to get signed, so that was cool. But yeah, that was a very spectacular win in my opinion. So overall, some really fun finishes on the card. I think there were also some not so good fights on the card. So overall, it's okay, but it went out with a bang. It started with a bang and it went out with a bang. So yeah.
All right, we'll wrap this up with some odds and ends here. First off, Dana White was not at this event. He was at this boxing event, which Marcel may or may not have been. When there may have been some parties that he was at. On a serious note, how bad does it look for UFC where it's like, okay, look, Dana, we know this is a big fight. We know, but like as you said, Sean Shelby, Hunter Campbell, Dana, like all the top bigwigs were in Vegas. Like almost nobody who was like the top brass showed up for UFC Noche. Like, should people in the UFC be pissed off? You know, like, hey, okay, we understand this is a big boxing shindig thingamabob, but this is the UFC. We're the ones who got $7.7 billion TV deal, not the boxers.
I mean, Shelby was in San Antonio, you know, but yeah, Dana wasn't obviously. Yeah, the thing is, like, I would think if you do two shows, make sure they're in the same city or they're like close to each other, you know, so you can go to both. But yeah, it was pretty obvious that Dana would show up at the boxing event and not at the UFC event. What do I think about it, man? Dana sometimes not even there in the UFC event. It's not the first time, man. You know, so I'm not surprised. He's always there with the pay-per-views, you know. But with listen, normally also when they go, probably when they go to Perth in 2 weeks, he will probably be there. But with a lot of like these American fight nights, he's also not there, you know. And even with the Vegas card, sometimes he's not even cage side. So I was not really surprised. I knew he was going to boxing. Um, yeah, how does it look? I think, in my opinion, as the CEO or the president of a company, you should always be there, in my opinion. But that's my opinion, you know. I don't think it is a good look but yeah, I can keep saying in my opinion. People know it's my opinion. But yeah, I don't think it's a really good look. But at the same time, I wasn't surprised. I knew he was going to be in Vegas for the boxing card. But yeah, what can you do, right?
Alexander Volkanovski is now in the new Street Fighter game that will be coming out. That's right. He is trading his gloves for the silver screen. He's going to be with Roman Reigns, Andrew Tolji. He's going to be with Cody Rhodes. All those wonderful things here. What do you make of it? Is that something that you're looking going? Hey, yeah, I played Street Fighter. This is pretty good. Are you going? Oh no, Alex. So you should stick to fighting, not acting. Every time fighters get involved in acting, it does not end well for them.
I mean, it's fun for Alex, man. I mean, look at he pretty much came as a pretty unknown guy into the UFC a couple of years ago, made a name for himself, became a champion, challenged for a second title that didn't happen, but he will go down in UFC history as one of the very best featherweights of all time, you know. So he also probably made a lot of money, and if he wants to go to acting, I'm all for it, you know. I mean, you have to think about at a certain moment these guys can't fight anymore and they have to do something else unless like they are financial stable, you know, and I think he is. But man, if he enjoys going into the movies, why not, you know? Yeah, would be fun to see Alex. I like Alexander Volkanovski is a guy you can't hate, I think, you know. At least I can't see why anybody would hate the guy. He's a very respectful, well-spoken dude, in my opinion, former champion, and one of the very best to ever do it. So I have nothing but respect for Alexander Volkanovski. I hope it all go well for him. You know.
And finally, the topic I know that's sort of near and dear to your heart. That's right, folks. I keep telling I'll say it here. John Jones still says that he's going to be at UFC White House next year. Marcel, do you want to see that? If he comes out and goes, Marcel, I apologize to you. I apologize to the fans. I was just, in a bad mood. I had some edibles and peyote and it didn't react well. I will fight Tom Aspinall. I will take him on at UFC White House. Would you accept the apology? Would you want him back? Or even are you still like, no, John, you are dead to me. I will not put up with you ever again.
I don't need to see him back. I really don't. I mean, it would be fun to me if Aspinall remains champion and the UFC is like, can you fight John Jones? And Aspinall says like, no, I fight somebody else who's active. That would be fun, you know. Then the rules are our turn, you know. For me, that's the same with Conor, man. I don't need to see these two on the White House card. Why should they be rewarded for being a bunch of jerks the last couple of years? You know, why should it be rewarded? Reward the fighters who are loyal to your company and who want to fight on that card. Don't reward the fighters who are a pain in the ass to get fights done. You know, because they think they are the shit. You know, and listen, what John Jones did in his light heavyweight run in the UFC was fucking amazing. He's the GOAT at light heavyweight. I will say that, you know, 100%. But right now, what has he done at heavyweight, dude? He won the belt. That's it. You know, and he defended against Stipe Miocic, who should have been like retired 5 years ago. So his heavyweight run isn't that amazing, you know, and it doesn't grant him for a title shot, in my opinion. But hey, the UFC, if they can make money, they probably will do it. The only thing is like, will they come through? Will they come to the background check at the White House? That's the thing, but we'll see.
Would you be at the White House? I mean, because as I said, you can call your peeps. You know, you can say, "Hey, look, I will be John Jones' liaison. I will make sure that he is sober and he gets there clean. I will chaperone him just to make sure that John Jones and Alex Pereira fight at the UFC White House. Because if John makes an apology, goes, "Hey, Marcel, you could be in my corner." Would you accept still? I mean, or I know you're a huge John Jones fan, so there's part of it's like, maybe here I get to hang out with the goat. I get to go
I
to the
think
White House. I
it's
get to
just over,
cheer him
dude.
on as he knocks out Alex Pereira. Oh, I thought I was out, but you pull me back in.
It's over, man. In my opinion, you know. I just don't see. I don't need to see it anymore. And it's just for me. It's all noise. What I see, you know, it's all noise. Dude has been making noise for so long, and then he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall. You know, like why do I really want to see him? Listen, the guy, like I said, goat at light heavyweight, but at heavyweight, he has no. How do we say this? There's no upside, in my opinion, at heavyweight. Why would you like to see John Jones fight for a title again? Maybe you don't want to see him for a title, but if you want to see him for a title again, imagine he wins again. Then you get the same shit we have the last couple of years. You don't need that. And dude is getting old as well.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we always love having on the show. I give you once again from Eurosport DL, from MMA Oddsbreaker podcast, and from Eurosport DL, I give you it is Marcel Dorff. So, Marcel, once again, if I missed anything, where can fans check you out at? Where is the website, the podcast, Instagram, and God damn, are you gonna tell us what actually happened with the Instagram models, the parties? I know you're playing coy, but I've heard from my sources you were actually in Vegas, you were partying hard. I heard it was even like, hey, you know what? He's making those parties with Justin Bieber look tame.
I mean, you should check your sources, I think, you know, for make sure if it's correct or not. But you can find me on Big Marcel24 on Twitter and Instagram. Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts section for articles. MMA Oddsbreaker, MMA Oddsbreaker podcast with Adam Martin. The podcast will be on Monday this week because, like, we also have Stefan Struve coming on, so we had to change the time, but that's no problem. That will be on 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Yeah, and that's it, man. Thank you for having me again, as always. Looking forward to next time. So thank you.
Always love having you on. Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, always on a pleasure. Have you on the show. We come back. A lot more going on here. Only on, it's Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol. Only on the Last Call Podcast.com.